Hey guys, this is Sweaty Gamer 1939 and welcome to a breakdown of Purple Heart Lane. This is going to be mainly the breakdown of Madelaine Farms, or the Madelaine Farm, I should say, because this is on offensive mode and usually it's a race to try to get to the first cap point, but in my opinion, that always never really works out and you can never fortify it quick enough before things become too unsustainable. So I always, in my mind, when I do the offensive mode, I always want to push to the next point because then I can fortify it and try to come up with a battle plan or strategy to defend or attack it. Um, but right now we're playing defense, so I am going to be breaking down Madelaine Farms, or Madelaine Farm, I should say. And the first objective is Ingouf Crossroads. So I'll be breaking down the position and key positions that I find on this particular portion of the map, especially when you're dealing with Ingouf Crossroads as the previous objective that has been taken or needs to be taken. So you'll just see some of the breakdown of positions, elevated positions that are key, trench lines, basically just breaking down this portion of the map. I will have some more out there in the future. If you enjoy this type of content, you can always join in on the Twitch. I stream weekly, a bunch of different games, but I will be consistently pushing out Hell Let Loose breakdowns for the crowd that likes to fight tactically. I am working on getting a server up and running, so anybody who wants to join in on the server that likes these videos or likes this type of gameplay and content and just want to try some stuff out, maybe on the battlefield, all are welcome. Eventually, I am going to turn it into a private server if I get enough members on the Patreon to subscribe to the Patreon and support the channel. They'll also have the perks of having VIP slots inside the servers that I run on multiple games that are kind of milsimmy and just kind of hard to find that crowd that enjoy the that type of content or gameplay and want to get it to its fullest type of experience. But stay tuned and check out this raw breakdown as I just kind of go through the positions and kind of narrate along on what I see and observe. Stay tuned in, subscribe if you like this stuff. All the links in Discord and all that stuff, good stuff down below. Okay. Defending, so let's take a look at the map. Let's spy here. Oh, yeah, this is a very bloody area to defend. Okay. Let's see. At this point, it's just a race to get there. So let's see. You're definitely want to hold this damn trench for sure, if you can. Absolutely pivotal, these trenches right here and this building. Okay, they do have some barbed wire here. That's good. That'll help. Not us, but the enemy. Man. Yeah. You got to try to hold it, though. Let's see. This hedgerow is definitely going to be a problem. Would be a problem. So you're definitely going to want eyes here. Possibly a machine gun mounted. Probably, if you can, probably right here. Yeah. Right here. Because you want this hedgerow to be secured. Yeah. This would be definitely the first place I would come on offensive if I was defending. Set up here, set up a perimeter, hold this while everybody pushes. You probably want 2 squads to hold this trench. And you'd have this hedgerow here that you got to worry about, but the only real opening to shoot through is here. So you'd probably want another machine gun laying right about a little exposed, right about here to shoot this, because they are definitely going to be pushing this hedgerow on the right flank and the left flank. Okay, and then this building here, doesn't even show it on the map correctly. This trench here and building here is very pivotal. You have to hold this on the right flank or the left flank will fold. Hold this building and you gotta hold this trench. Absolutely pivotal, because they will work their way eventually through here. Yep. And the only other real defense you can have, and it's actually a decent one because this is at a lower angle here, so it's not completely even. Yeah, you have to hold this here. This whole right flank needs to hold. This one right here. Absolutely pivotal that this trench line stays cleared. Plus it gives you a whole view of all this field here. This is a very good position. The problem is then you got to worry about bombers. If they bomb this, your team's gonna be in trouble. So yeah, possibly put some OPs here. Put some OPs. Hold this here because this, you need to have it. You cannot lose that. You will end up losing the point. If that trench line goes, this little ditch, that you will lose the point. Because they will end up pushing armor all through here, using this hedgerow to push. And then this whole flank right here, this position will be unsustainable. You'll have to pull back, and they'll have a little bit of a slight hill advantage, elevated position on the next point, which they can set up armor or whatever they want from back here. See, this is very crucial, this flank here. How far can we go over on this end? Yeah, they might set up armor. They can. Can they even get across here? Yes, they can. They get across here. Yep. Oh. There's another bridge. Looks like this might be pivotal as well. All these positions. This trench is very important as well, but the problem is you're going to be dealing with elevated position on a complete flank of your trench. So you're probably going to be wanting to, yeah, that's unsustainable. You need to have, yeah, this whole man, this right flank on this point is absolutely pivotal. More elevated position on our defensive point. They can get tanks, whatever they want. If they hold this here, this point is in trouble. This whole right flank is, you gotta hold it. I'll check the left flank, but you gotta hold that right flank. You're gonna have to, if I was commander, I would literally probably deploy my whole, probably more than half, 60–70% of my squads would be holding this right flank. But I want to observe over here. Heavy right center and a heavy far right on the flanks. So this right here, this line here is pivotal, because you got to be able to keep whatever is shooting at you off at bay here. And this is actually a pretty good angle right here. If you were to set up a machine gun, it'd be a pretty good area right here. Yeah. I have one of the squads hold here next to this tree. And then let's check over here. So this is why this trench is pivotal as well on the right flank. They have all this cover, all of this. So left flank here as well, very pivotal. But there's a bridge here they would have to cross. Yeah. This needs to hold. Absolutely. But lots of cover here. So yeah, you could put up a skeleton crew here, maybe like 5, 6, maybe a couple, four squads holding this. The other 6 would be on the right flank. Because if they can't cross anywhere else, they would have to, I mean, they could technically, let's see. Yeah, that's too far. I already can see that. They would have to cross all the way over here. They would have to go all the way around. Looks like I don't see any other bridges. Yeah, they would have to go a long way to get. And then they have all this open field they would have to cross. They could try to push along here and these little intersections here. They'd probably go up this main road here. That's why they have this garrison. That's why they put that there. Yeah. So as soon as you start to see this light up, you could have a good indicator. And not to mention, it leads kind of, this main road here is very important to the next point. Because if this gets sheared off here, the next point is definitely in danger. But you do have this backup garrison here, which is very, yeah. Well, I'll go to that next and check that out. But okay, so right flank absolutely pivotal on which one is this one? Madelaine Farm and Ingouf Crossroads. Yeah. I know it's a kind of a thin area on the right flank, like on the map. But man, you have to hold this. I mean, look how it's set up. This is, yeah, boom, and then they would have to cross. Okay, yeah, right flank completely, absolutely pivotal. Got to hold. And that's a great thing too, is looks like they gave us a very good position to hold it, actually, with this map design. Lots of barbed wire here. So, I mean, you definitely would not want to try to be the Germans on this map that are attacking. You could try to leapfrog your way here to here, but man, your best bet would be probably crawl. Yeah, you would have to get into this water line here. There's probably a water line here. Yep. Once this right flank folds, they would probably set up all their OPs. Definitely near that trench. And if they can, definitely behind this hedge. If they can go that far, which I think they can. Broken bridge, but is it still crossable? Yes, it is. It is still a crossable bridge. So they would have to crawl, get over here, run over here, probably get cut down by machine gun fire. You would need probably, yeah, there's some decent cover here, but you'd probably want a machine gun mounted up right here to cover this bridge and this sector. Yeah, the problem is that machine gun be very vulnerable. You probably couldn't stick your head up too much, so they'd suppress you. And then they would, if I was them, I would definitely try to get in here, turn the whole left flank. They would, yeah, right flank completely. Absolutely need to hold this. You will be hating life as a team if this right flank goes. But you definitely need to leave a skeleton crew on that left flank because what they're going to do is they're going to find out that this path is the least resistance. Because a lot of people, I love playing with, my buddy, just people in general, but they're not thinking tactically. Everybody just follows the herd. And this is the path of least resistance right here because there's plenty of cover. There's enemies, so people are going to be drawn to all the gunfire. They want to go and get into the fight. Yeah, right flank. Left flank, yeah, definitely leave a skeleton crew. On that area I showed earlier, which we'll go back to, but yeah, need to hold this building too as a defense. Definitely a fallback position. You would want most of the majority or bulk of your squads probably deployed near this area because you have to try to keep all this at bay. And technically you could send some squads over here. I mean, you could try to have like a recon squad maybe hold here, picking off targets, far away here. Yeah, this would be a good area. They could deploy here. Maybe one of them while the other one's going and trying to get behind their lines and disrupt everything. Get rid of OPs, get rid of spotting of positions. But yeah, I would definitely, recon would be here for sure. Just a little something to hold this and report any movements. Okay. A little trench here. Gonna be your little battle lines. These are little trenches where you guys shoot at each other back and forth. And eventually, if that trench folds and like that recon squad or whoever you have deployed over there folds, and that area is starting to be taken. Let's see if these intersect. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, there's a crossing point here. So, yeah, that would set you up pretty too. I mean, if they attack this and they got it, it would literally lead to all of this and I don't know, the flak position here. So, this is why this is here. Absolutely why this is here. You could have either a machine gun here, have a machine gun here, and then they would be able to keep an eye on these positions here. Yeah, this is why this nest is here. Yep. One of the squads can be put here. And it would do, you just put a machine gun here, machine gun emplacement here, just rake this whole area here, just keep them supplied with ammo. And, oh yeah, baby. Great position. Okay. And this does intersect here. This is a good little, I would deploy a OP here for sure. Or a backup garrison. Backup garrison for sure here. And that way you can use this whole thing on the right flank. That's why that's designed that way. Yeah. This is where it intersects. Let's try to stick to as much of the cover that they give us. Yeah, you would have to crawl. Definitely have to crawl all the way over here. I mean, you could probably try to sneak, but you'd want the majority if this was real life, which I know we like to play. The game's a little bit too more arcadey from, so I guess the people may not want to do this, but you would crawl. Even crouch at some points, probably. You can get away with crouching here. Crawl definitely between the points here. Crawl again. Yep. Get up. This is where it'd be really hard. Yeah. Because you would, if it was me, yeah. Ooh, man. Lots of open field. Okay. Yeah, I don't even think you can come this way. Scratch that. All right. Oh, this is deep. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, their real bet would be, it would have to be here. Like I said earlier, they would have to take this. And it's a lot of cover. They would just have to deploy. Yeah. Because if I was them, in order to make this plan work to take this effectively, once you got in here, they got in here. I mean, if they were smart and they played actually like, how they actually did in World War II, what you would do is you would leapfrog with your machine gun, your machine gunner. So, especially if you have multiple squads going. Yeah. See, once they eventually got into here from that right flank, back over here, this area right here. Yeah. You would get here, deploy a machine gun here. Every little bend, little straightaway that you have to cover, and put a lot of fire to suppress the enemy while you're, yeah, see how it's starting to bend here? You would have to crawl though. Yeah, you would definitely have to crawl as a squad. But once you crawled up to about here, let's see, another straightaway coming. Right about here, I would say. Yeah, deploy the machine gun. But you definitely want to do the longer straightaways. You need to deploy your machine gun. You would have to crawl a lot because you're going to be taking all kinds of fire. And it's not about the kills, it's about the objectives, so you don't want to be sticking your head up, even though it takes a long time to get to where you need to go. If their whole team was crawling, they would get to probably about, yeah, here. This is where I'd probably want to deploy. Right about, yeah, here. And then you just have your point man, your riflemen go forward. It's all about fire superiority once things pop off. So throwing as many rounds at the area that you want to move to is the general rule of thumb. So keep it suppressed, and then eventually you would get to right about, I would say here, you would want the machine gun to deploy here to hold this, and they would push here, and then whatever they have for their attack support, their supporting squads would rake all this tree line here, suppressing it while these guys crawl forward and eventually get to here where they can crouch. A little bit more liberty here. Yeah, and then you would fight your way eventually to here, and then you would just treat it like a trench. Just clear the trench, clear the position here, hold this, throw some OPs down, get in here. And then this whole position is taken. And then what sucks at that point is now you have to fight a battle on two fronts. Absolutely pivotal, this position here, but mainly the recon squad would have to be back over here if I was defending, because all you have to do is just have recon deploy on this area up here. Good old long runs, running simulator, and then sometimes dying simulator. Yeah, I would probably put my recon squad. I remember it was I think it was, yeah, it was kind of near one of these willow trees, I think. Yeah. And this is a perfect place to shoot from, too. You're densely covered. You're densely covered as recon, putting little leaves in your hair, or not your hair, but your helmet, and just sit here, you're doing pretty good. I would even maybe, I don't know, if somebody could just even deploy as just a single squad and like lock the squad, and then they, I don't know, throw an OP down, and then maybe probably a 2-man, probably just a machine gunner and a spotter could hold this position here with the recon, but have a machine gunner hold their fire until this trench starts to get taken. Yeah, that's what I would do. And then you would wait for backup to arrive to kind of like help stabilize the lines. You can have all these guys on the left flank kind of understand what's going on and make sure that this is cleared. Yeah, it's a good defensive plan, and it's pretty solid, at least I think. But I mean, it's up for discussion. That's why I built this channel. I'm not always going to be right. But yeah, this I would definitely put a recon squad here, and a machine gunner and a squad lead here. Just lock the squad. You don't need all the, maybe have the rest of your boys go off and defend the left flank, and then they can, report what's going on. This was Sweaty Gamer 1939, and I want to say thank you for tuning in on a breakdown video of Held at Loose. I do plan on having some more in the future. This one was Purple Heart Lane, which is a very difficult map, as anybody who's played it before knows. It's a pretty meat grindy situation sometimes, and I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for everybody to come together and discuss battle plans and battle strategies. But in the future, I will have a server going. In the near future, I'm setting up the funds and everything aside for that. And then any of the subscribers to Patreon will have a VIP slot once I get that going, and then eventually I will turn it into a private server for the members only. But maybe I'll end up having some other servers in the future that will just be for the casual players, but focus will be definitely strategy and trying to play strategically and trying to create that Milsim World War II experience to the fullest we can get it with this game. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.